Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever, whenever that you may be tuning in. This is Yonks, and this is another AI for Real Estate by WeOwn.Academy pre-launch conversation. And today is May 18th, and looking at the Google Doc, this is and let me share this link in here for you real quick on the chat so that you've got that. And I'll actually share the link to the document so that you can, or the subtab that we're working on. This Google Doc is pretty tab heavy. And let's see here. Let me throw that in there real quick. The link to today's subtab within the Google Docs. All right, and there's a link to that. And again, this document is very tab heavy. And scrolling down our agenda, love talking about our FELG culture, fun, earning, learning, and giving. And got a few things to talk about here. So made some slight changes to the document. We actually had the deliverables within the goals and FAQs, and I broke this out onto its own subtab. If you go to the home tab here, it's pretty simple, just overview page and scrolling down to the goals and FAQs. Good amount of meat here, marketing, FAQs, thoughts, benefits, etc. So anyway, going back to working group number 11 and also organizing this here by week. I'm a big fan of week numbering, and this is week 20 of 2025. And again, going back to today's subtab, we just talked about reordering some of the tabs, move the deliverables up, and update on partnership with Fibery. So going back to our goals and FAQs on our marketing section over here, potential participants for this cohort, Fibery regional chairs in the United States and members. So one of the things that we've got is an action item. We're wanting to make this as easy as possible with Fibery. And one of the things that's worth mentioning is that we're actually reserving, we only have 20 people max for this. So we're capping the capacity at 20 people. So myself and Tyler are going to be number one and number two. And then that allows for 18 more people to come into this first cohort. And that was something that we decided all the way back at pre-launch working group number 3. You can see the little comment over here. And then one of the things that we did is also wanted to make this more accessible to young professionals, those under 25, at a lower price point, $97 a month instead of the $497 here that we're offering it for real estate people. So anyway, going back to our agenda. So talked about the email that we need to do. I'm going to leave this unchecked because I'm going to create between now and our working group tonight. Let's actually go here real quick to WeOwn.Academy. Right now, it redirects to a Linktree page and the events here. So opening up the events, this is a Luma tab. Our Luma calendar, and this is the event that we're working off of here tonight. And then the next working group number 12, will be here tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern time. So let me actually get a link for you all here that you can join this if you want to participate. Let me link to tonight's working group number 12. So anyway, before we move on, is there anything, Tyler, that you want to discuss besides what we're talking about here? One of the things that we're going to do real quick before that, Tyler, is tonight during the working group, and this is something that we can work on between this afternoon's working group and tonight's working group, is we can work on what we want to use for the prompt for using Plus AI to create this pitch deck. We actually did a tools deep dive using Plus AI, and I can't remember if it's Plus AI. Have you played around with that at all, Tyler? Plus AI?
A little bit. Some for flyers, some for presentations, some for a few different use cases. Not a ton.
So yeah, it's plus ai.com, and here's a use case, and I'll just go here to the main page. This is actually something that we are using within our ecosystem. So during, and I'll put a link during tonight's working group, we will be using to create a webinar pitch deck for Fibery.org members. And this is something that we really want to have the right people in the cohort. I would absolutely consider the existing members of Fibery to be thought leaders surrounding real estate and blockchain. And with this AI for real estate cohort, we're really wanting to have thought leaders in here so that we can have an amazing cohort. So besides these things, what else do we want to talk about or do during today's working group? Over to you, Tyler.
Um, so a couple of things. One is we need to. Do you want to talk about our marketing strategy, or do you only want to talk about curriculum and content on this thing?
I mean, we can do either. Like, I've already got the action item to create the Google Doc where we can work on getting that email drafted. I'm not sure what the time frame is. My thoughts are hopefully create some, because looking here, it's already May the 18th. Tomorrow will be the May the 19th, and the goal is, of course, to get 20 people. We've only got what, 11, 12 days, and we've also got Memorial Weekend coming up here. Is that on the very last day? I can't remember.
I,
Let me
I
look at.
think it's the 25th or whatever that Monday is. I think it's next or 26th. I think it's next Monday.
Yeah, so we'll have that yeah, the following weekend, I guess that would be, because this is Sunday, so this upcoming weekend is Memorial Weekend, right? 25th,
Right.
26th. So
Right.
we won't have a whole lot of time to onboard these 18 people for this first cohort. So anyway, going back to the goals and FAQs, talking about the what did you want to talk about as far as the marketing besides the potential participants for this cohort?
Let's just do that after if we have time, or we'll do it tonight. Not something that can wait. The curriculum's more important.
Okay. So this is something too. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, not necessarily related to this, is have we've talked about getting good at creating feedback, and this is actually one of the things that we're wanting to do. This is in the deliverables tab. We've got this feedback form that we've got here to create some feedback. Another tool that I want to talk about is harmonica.chat. And this is something, let's actually just wait for the website to load here with Harmonica Chat. Your virtual facilitator. Create an AI facilitated conversation to understand what your team, users, community, or audience thinks about a topic. So I think that this is a great tool that's AI facilitated to really understand, so that we can focus on creating curriculum that our participants of this cohort are most interested in. So this is something that and let me actually just click on this request a demo and see where this goes as far as the workflow. So book a demo, discover how Harmonica can transfer your team's collaboration today. Book your personalized demo now. So I'm going to go through this workflow afterwards, and I'm going to create this as an action item here for myself. Use populate demo form on Harmonica Chat, and I'm going to just throw this link in here on Harmonica chat. And there's the link, populate demo form. Okay. So the curriculum, um, And also, real quick, besides the curriculum, also wanted to talk about this blog post here under content ideas. I think creating this blog post, real estate using AI tools versus AI agents versus AI agency. I'll take this as an action item to get these create Notion. I'm going to just put this, copy and paste this over here. And let's see, tab equals content ideas. All right. So curriculum ideas, weekly schedule. So we talked about creating, I think that this is something that we briefly discussed before we started the live stream. So I think that we both agreed to use a Google Sheet. It's less clunky. So let me actually create an action item here for today's agenda. So create a Google Sheet for our curriculum ideas on a week by week basis. So one of the things that I think will be important, and I know that it will help me, not necessarily from a uh, real estate specific, but just workflow automation. And when you think about workflow automation is a pretty wide umbrella. And this is one of the things that I added over here to AI solutions was workflow automation. And let me actually add this as a week number 2. So on the welcome and intro, so one of the other things too, week number 2 of 16, and this is actually going to be, I'll put here in parentheses, that will be week 24. This is going to be week 23, 2025, week 23, 2025, week 24. And I'm going to say workflow automation. I'm going to put in here Zapier N8N. And this is, again, where we can, using a tool like Harmonica, really try to understand what some pain points are. And kind of one of the thoughts that I've had, but before I move on, how are you feeling here about like kind of like kickoff and getting started? We make this a heading 1. How do you feel about making the topic of week 2 workflow automation?
Yeah, I think that's. I think week 2 is fine. I would go back to week 1 for a minute. Kickoff and getting started is. Do you want more details on what that would look like, is that part of the? You gotta sign up for the class to get that.
Um, I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, do we want to put all the content that we're covering in here, or is how much detail are we putting in this on public?
I mean, like, I'm not sure what you mean by that as far as
We can talk about that later. We'll go back to week 1 later. But yeah, week 1's fine. Week 2 is fine.
okay. And then what do we you want to put week number 3 of 16, 2025, week 25. So what would be a good focal point for week 3?
Um, After we've got everything automated, then we need to show them how to execute on this. And in our draft agenda, do you want to bring these topics up and we start going through them, or are you writing something new from scratch on this?
I'm not sure what you mean again.
We had 10 to 12 weeks of curriculum already lined out in our former agenda. Are we scrapping that now or
No, no. So this is like, is this what you're talking about here, right?
yeah, are we going through like marketing and lead gen and then week 1, week 2 and like breaking it down or are we
Um,
because
I
within
mean,
so within marketing and lead gen we already um covered a lot of what we want to do. Are we picking and choosing from what we want within marketing and lead gen and workforce automations and
well, it's taking like these are ideas. I think we both know that like all of this is probably not going to fit in a 16-week curriculum.
no, it won't. And I also think that some of it is I think marketing and lead gen is by far the most important. So it's something we could absolutely spend multiple weeks on. Where some of the stuff might be, some of these could even be combined into one because I think a lot of people are not, might not be applicable or, yeah.
Yeah, well, and a lot of this stuff overlaps too. So like going back to the weekly schedule subtab here, like I'm gonna just put like conversational AI plus CRM because this is one of the things like and maybe it'd be better to talk about lead generation here, but I would kind of like to talk about like and let me actually put this here too conversational AI plus CRM. Um, understand better, understand existing CRM solutions being used by our cohort peers. And this is where using a tool like Harmonica, we can really work on getting this architected so that we can find out through this what tools people are currently utilizing. And let me actually add this to currently what AI tools are currently being used, i.e., Chat GPT, Claude, Perplexity, um, Claude, uh, Copilot, Gemini, etc. And this is something again, the goal is to hopefully have these people go through our peer cohorts, go through whatever mechanisms that we create. So one of the value propositions that we're wanting to build in, and a lot of this will depend on how that people are using their own CRM solutions and what capabilities that that has. Because one of the ethoses of this peer learning cohort, since it is within the WeOwn network, is to really uh, bring an ownership component with things, where whether it's owning your own CRM solution, and then like I have mentioned, we'll continue to mention that the real vision for the AI agency is transitioning that sort of functionality from legacy solutions into the AI agency. But that's going to be very much a work in progress. So,
Do we need to spend any time in the intro defining what AI agents are and do and whatnot? Or are we just assuming that people already know that's why they're there?
well, no, I think that that's why that this, and I still have this highlighted on the content ideas. Like this is something that I would really like this blog post to be published sooner than later, so that because this is something that AI agency is like, in my opinion, kind of a new idea because I don't think a lot of people are even understand. I think that there's a lot of confusion around AI agents and the opportunity for this cohort to really bring clarity is one of the goals and one of the value again. one of the big value propositions for the participants, our peers in this cohort, is that we're going to be building AI agency with Rebox, re.box, and that's the AI agency for real estate. So that's why that this piece of content I think is important because it will really allow us to, through this piece of content, provide some clarity. Did that answer your question there, Tyler?
Yeah, okay.
So, and just to put it out, if anybody is on the live stream and wants to ask any questions, this is absolutely something that we're keeping an eye on. So feel free. We this is a working group. We'll regularly say building a choose your own adventure here. So let's take a look here. We haven't spent any time, and I don't know like how much that I want to really spend outside of getting some really solid stuff for the first month of the cohort. Because, like, right now, we don't have any feedback, and I would much rather get some feedback before we spend a lot of time, like, looking at what month two, July of 2025 is as far as the curriculum. And that's one of the things that we are really wanting this to be an iterative process as we continue to navigate things. So anyway, do you want to add anything here, Tyler? Let me go back to the curriculum or the weekly schedule again.
Something that I think would be really valuable is, and this might be a bullet point versus an actual topic of discussion, but I would like to have some sort of structured networking component, whether it's us kind of just doing instant matches for people to connect whenever, or asking, setting aside a small group time to for people to connect with each other. One of the things, if we're expecting people to be not local, potentially even global, would love to have some sort of structured time for them to get together, or some sort of prearranged way for them to meet each other.
So yeah, help me understand more what your thoughts are. Like, are you talking
So
about the 20 people participating, the cohort, our cohort peers?
yeah, our cohort peers, it's important for me as a participant to say a lot of the value will come from the actual cohort class structured discussion time and learning, and a lot of the networking can't really happen during the class. It's too short, it's too many people. But I would love, I'm thinking like, if this were a live seminar
Well,
in a hotel, this would be the coffee break stuff that we could
well,
structure.
the I mean, we absolutely can structure. I mean, Zooms has breakout rooms that we can absolutely use where we can, if you wanted to facilitate like a 5 minute or like 2 5 minute sessions, because I mean,
I was more thinking of just pairing people off, and just, even if it's an email or just some kind of automation of saying, hey, meet with Q today, and or sometime this week, you guys just schedule some one-on-one time. I just think it's really important for people to have some structured networking time that
well, I mean,
we can come back
I
to that.
think
We can come
yeah,
back to
well,
them.
let's actually add that as within the feedback, because if it's important for people, I think it would be better to just like have a speed networking component of like 3 to 5 minutes, maybe during our first or second sessions of week one, and just like looking at what we're planning to do with our deliverables. We're planning to have the weekly Zoom probably be at 11 or 12 p.m. Eastern time. And this is something that, again, we can pull. And then the second session will likely be a Friday morning, 11 or 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. Eastern time. And then the office hours, for people that may or may not be familiar with an office hours, really looking for that to be a more casual format where people can come in. That's something that Tyler and I would facilitate, the office hours where people can come in, ask some questions, maybe do some brainstorming and stuff like that. And I think I actually, and I did add some details here. What is my weekly time commitment? And this is talking about, I was talking here about office hours. And then one of the value propositions that we're looking to do, insider access to our WeOwn podcast. Season 1 is going to be with the WeOwn podcast is going to be running in tandem. AI for real estate, and this could be a unique value proposition that may not even happen on future cohorts, but that's something we will likely continue to have conversations. Not sure what cadence that will be, but anyway, let's take a look now at our deliverables tab just to kind of go through. So, um, looking at the technical, this is something that I'm going to be working with our uh, uh, fractional dev team. We own dev as far as getting the cloud infrastructure in place. And this is where I'm going to actually add the comment. Brand decision has been made. Ari.box, which is our AI agency for real estate, is our model for or our brand, ecosystem brand. So this is one of the higher priority things that need to do is set up our e-commerce for at WeOwn.Academy. That's going to be using WordPress and WooCommerce on the back end, and looking at that being a 497 or 497 Proppy tokens, and uh, hopefully we can set this all up to be native on our WooCommerce site. And one of the other things I'm actually going to add here is our account AA account abstraction with WeOwn.app using unicorn.eth. And unicorn is we're having some side conversations with moving that forward. But for people that aren't familiar, unicorn.eth forwards here, onboard any community to a safe, profitable Web3 experience. So this will be our foray into our ecosystem at WeOwn.app, and hopefully that will be in place here so that we can use that. And then also, like, one of the other things that wanted to bring up, and let me actually go here to Common Ground. So Common Ground is the community that we're looking. I'm going to actually join this community. I'll go through this process later, but tips and tricks to get the most out of onboard for your community. So this is one of the things that looking forward, and this may be even a tools deep dive. I'll figure out if we want to schedule a tools deep dive to go through this. Welcome on board, how it works. So introducing, and let me go to this article. Welcome on board. Go to article, share, and let me just throw this in here. Discussing welcome on board in app.cg. And here's a link to this article. Introducing Onboard, supercharge your Common Ground community onboarding. Running a vibrant online community on platforms like Common Ground involves guiding new members, verifying credentials, and ensuring everyone gets the right roles and information. This onboarding process can often be manual, time-consuming, and inconsistent. What if you could create beautiful, automated step-by-step onboarding flows tailored specifically for your community directly within Common Ground? So this is one of the things, and like I said, I'm going to go through a more detailed one of the decisions that we will make, and I'm thinking that it probably makes sense to do WeOwn.Academy. I did create this is the WeOwn.Network community, and I'm going to do a call to action. Join our WeOwn.Network community on Common Ground at app.cg/c/weown. So where I was going with that is We Own Academy. I created this channel, but I think I'm actually going to make We Own Academy be its own community within Common Ground. And not going to unpack all of the reasons, but one of the things that I love doing is creating tokenized brands. We Own Academy is going to be a tokenized brand. Imagine, I believe that WeOwn.Academy could become someday one of the greatest decentralized platforms, or communities, a peer learning community for the decentralization of education, and use decentralization somewhat reservedly because it really invokes more questions than I think that the underlying value proposition is. But anyway, I'm going to take the action item here. I think that it makes sense, just assessing what could unfold with WeOwn.Academy in the coming years to create WeOwn.Academy as another community here within Common Ground. And that's one of the things that excited to hopefully figure out, to bring this all together to make it easier for people. But that's something that is going to be an ongoing art with what we're doing in the more complicated ecosystem that we're building out. But anyway, going back to deliverables, I'm actually going to add this here. Onboarding wizard within Common Ground. Work on creating this workflow. So, because I want this to be a fun experience and an easy experiment experience for most people. Our cohort peers are going to be exposed to a lot of technology, and this is something too. Like, one of the just thinking as far as technical, how will we have the replays of content be token gated? Is this something that can be facilitated within Common Ground? Question mark. So I'll reach out to Common Ground and see what that looks like on things. So anyway, we've been talking a little bit about Common Ground. Did you want to chime in any thoughts on that, Tyler?
Yeah, I think that it's going to be exciting to see what else comes out of this peer learning cohort. I'm having all these daydreams about all of the ways that people can automate their marketing and actually, if all of your tasks are automated, you can create your own community and common ground as a realtor, or you'll have time and space to write a book or develop other forms of things in your business that you haven't been able to because you're drowning. So I'm excited to see people organizing and curating stuff on common ground, and then also just thinking through the tools that can get the sludge out of their heads and their businesses and get on with creating what they actually want to create. I haven't been able to up till now.
Yeah, just because their time is done doing manual processes or workflows or other things like that.
Yes, and in addition to that, just the headspace that it takes up. It's not sometimes it's not even the actual time, it's the emotional overkill, it's the mental load of not feeling as organized as you want to be, or not realizing that you don't have a good way to structure your tools. And one of the things that I like about some of the tools that we're doing is they're all very specific and metricable and measurable. And I think real estate as an industry is not great at creating specific, repeatable activities that are measurable. And AI, you can measure everything. So you know exactly what's working, what's not, how well it's working. After you tweak it, did that make it better or worse, and how much? And it's all measurable for the first time, and that's really exciting. But it's also a little scary when you realize so many of the activities that you thought you were doing that should have worked just don't. And it's I I mean I may be being an armchair psychiatrist here, but I think that I'm interested to see kind of what emotional goo kind of bubbles up in the middle of all this when people realize success from 0 to 1 is right there, and from 1 to 100 is right behind it.
Yeah, for sure. And going back to one of the things that I'm excited to put forward is the benefits here. And this is something that I think will be a really strong use case. And create a new deal flow pipeline for real estate professionals. And we've got on here the American Dream campaign. And this is one of the things that only the peers, our cohort peers, will be the only people that have access to this strategy, the American Dream campaign. And this is one of the things that we need to think about how that we want to fit into the curriculum. And one of the other things that I've been contemplating too that haven't really socialized yet, and I don't even think that I've talked to you about this yet, Tyler, is we've talked about creating what I say is a no-brainer value proposition. And one of the things that I'm really increasing thinking makes sense with We Own Cash, which is going to be a huge talking point within our ecosystem, is that We Own Cash really going to position as a sponsor for this AI for real estate cohort. Now, whether we ever do this in the future, maybe, maybe not. I don't know if we'll really need to, but this is one of the things that the big value proposition for the people that complete this cohort. And this is where we need to have some criteria so that we can feel good about rewarding with people through this We Own Cash. Is the plan is to do a safe agreement or SAF, simple agreement future token, for our peer cohorts, our cohort peers, where they will receive 1,000 WeOwn Cash tokens, which will be equivalent to $1 whenever this token is deployed. But go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, I was gonna say I I just want to be super clear that these tokens are liquid right now, so we're not promising people something with a specific dollar value right now. So to speak really clear on that. Um, the um the other
And to add to that, that's one of the reasons that that will be a simple agreement future token. And we'll work on getting that document created, and that's something that we don't necessarily have to have finalized at the start of the cohort. We can just set those expectations that we'll be working towards as a reward for those that complete that. But yes, thank you for clarifying that.
are we defining this as you just sign up, or are we requiring participation? Because I would love to say you have
No,
to.
for this sort of reward, we can absolutely set participation metrics, because like one of the things that we're going to be doing throughout this, whether it's on a weekly or biweekly or monthly basis, we're going to be doing feedback, because the more that we get feedback, then that's where we can use that feedback to also ensure that for the next month's curriculum that it's well refined. But then also we want this again to be an iterative, and again that's why it's a peer learning cohort, because the more that we can help everybody in this cohort succeed, like I like to say, the goal is to create the proverbial money printer with our AI agency model.
Yeah, so I was thinking, I don't know if we're going to define that now, or just put that on discussion for later. But yeah, so yeah, let's move on to the next thing. We can define exactly what that looks like, but I would say probably 13 to 14 sessions live, and
Yeah, and I mean, we don't have to define.
yeah,
I
because
was thinking kind of like a 70% participation threshold. And this is something that we can, again, take a look and see what that looks like. Because when we talk about a 70% participation threshold, it's on these just two, because we're really wanting this to be a low time commitment requirement where people can think about, hey, really like 2 to 5 hours a week. is kind of the goal, where the most important thing is participating in the Zoom conversations on likely Tuesday and Friday mornings.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Alrighty, well, looking at the time here, we only have 7 minutes left, and I have no problem wrapping this up a little bit early because this is the first conversation today. Again, we will be back later tonight at 9 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time for working group number 12. But on that note, what are some things, Tyler? I'm going to go ahead and create our agenda for tonight. I'm going to duplicate the template. But let's talk about some things that we would like to discuss during tonight's working group.
Um, well, the first thing is we've already got people who want to sign up. So I don't know if this is a working group or we just get this done between now and then, is we need to get the form finalized, whether it's Eventbrite or a WordPress plugin or whatever for credit cards, and then also an unlock set up for people who want to register with crypto. And
And there is potentially a possibility because if we could get, because the goal is to have where people can onboard with 497 property tokens. Um, and hopefully we can do that within WooCommerce, but I haven't seen what the plugins look like here. But the value proposition for people that use crypto, and just doing a search here on CoinMarketCap for property. So right now, number go up, number go down. Proppy is currently trading right under 80 cents. So you think about if somebody used 497 Pro tokens, it would be about a 20% savings compared to using US dollar. So, but yeah, this is something that I'm gonna work on getting set up here between now and this evening's working group. We'll see how much progress that I can do on that. And let me actually also add the setup charmverse.io at collab.weown.academy. And I might even go through. I'll do that offline because there's some DNS stuff and stuff like that. But anyway, what else, Tyler, for tonight's agenda?
we're okay. Our very newly minted 4-year-old is demanding some immediate attention. So let me talk to you about that between now and then we'll relaunch at 9 tonight.
Alrighty. Well, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and stop the share. Got a few minutes left, but again, have no problem winding this down. This was a great working group. Love the direction that we're going. Really excited to facilitate this upcoming cohort that we will really get through AI tools versus AI agents, and then AI agency that we're looking to build with re.box, Rebox, the AI agency for real estate. But anyway, wherever you're watching, make sure that you subscribe to our calendar for WeOwn.Academy. And until next time, everybody.